Hey guys, it's Lauren, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Rather than making a recipe tutorial video, I'm actually going to go through my pantry and tell you about all of my favorite Asian pantry items that I like to have on hand at all times. Also, for those of you that are new here and maybe haven't read my blog before, I'm actually 50% Chinese, so a lot of the food that I eat and make is really strongly influenced by my Chinese background. I just want to preface this video by letting you all know that I'm not being paid by any of these brands to promote them. These are actually just some of my favorites and different Asian pantry items that I've had in my life since I was a kid and the brands that I really trust. All right, so these are some of the things that we're going to go through. I know this looks like a lot right now and there's actually a couple more sitting over there, but don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you. So if you plan on doing any Asian cooking at all, you should definitely make sure that you have a soy sauce on hand. Now, of course, everybody needs a soy sauce that works for them based on your dietary restrictions or what have you. So I have a couple different options here today. All of these I recommend, but they're just all for different people. So for starters, I have the OG original red cap KIKKOMAN traditionally brewed soy sauce. So this is a great soy sauce for, you know, just any sort of traditional Asian cooking. It's the kind that my grandparents used. The only qualm I have with it is it's kind of high in sodium, so that is why I have actually transitioned to the green cap. So the green cap is also a KIKKOMAN soy sauce. It's just low sodium. So basically what you get is you're not sacrificing any of the flavor of the regular traditionally brewed KIKKOMAN soy sauce, but you get rid of that sodium. So, you know, less sodium, I think that's better for everybody. This is actually like the smallest jar of it that I've ever gotten. This is from Cub and it's very small. Normally I get the one from Costco that is like huge and a jug with a big handle because that's how much we go through here. It's a little intense, but hey, why not? And then I have the gluten-free KIKKOMAN soy sauce. So my sister is actually gluten-free and, you know, occasionally I'm cooking things for her. She wants it to taste exactly the same as ours, but she can't have the gluten. So that's when I use this, or I also use the Sanjay Tamari soy sauce. It's pretty similar, you know, just a little bit different. Both of these are made without gluten. The fact that any of the other ones have gluten is weird to me, but here we are. And if your dietary restrictions are a little bit more intense, a little bit more restrictive, then I would recommend Coconut Secrets Coconut AMINOS. So this one is 100% organic, gluten-free, non-GMO, no MSG, and vegan. So that one's great, you know, for like being paleo, what have you. Doesn't really have a lot of stuff in it. There's no soy, so it's a great option. But like I said, the one that I prefer and the one that I use most often is the green cap KIKKOMAN low sodium soy sauce. I know what you're thinking. Looking at these bottles, you're going, wow, that's really intense. Those are huge. Does she really need that much? But the answer is yes. And I'm going to tell you why. So again, I strongly recommend the brand KIKKOMAN. I get the KIKKOMAN brand of mirin, which if you don't know what mirin is, it's basically kind of like a rice wine. It's not technically a wine, but there is alcohol in it. It's sweeter and you're going to find it in a lot of sauces and you're going to find it in some recipes that I'll be posting later. So make sure that you have it on hand. Now, fish sauce, I can't say how important fish sauce is. You need to have it in your pantry if you're making Asian cooking. The reason fish sauce is so important is because it adds umami. If you don't know what umami is, at its very basic, it means depth of flavor. Fish sauce is generally the reason you love whatever Asian food you're eating. It's in all sorts of things. Basically, if you want to make Asian food at home that tastes just like the restaurant, you should really get some fish sauce. Now, this is not an ad, but I really can't recommend Red Boat fish sauce enough because it's basically just anchovies and salt, and that's what makes your sauce. So it's really the purest fish sauce that you can find. So a lot of the other fish sauces that you'll find, there's added sugars and preservatives, and honestly, there's really no need for that. So if you want just the purest fish sauce that you can find, I highly recommend Red Boat. Also, side note, before we get into all of these sauces and other pantry items, of course, I wanted to tell you that you really need to have rice. Now, if you don't like rice, I don't know what you're doing making Asian cooking, but whatever. But my rice recommendations for white rice, I really like having a jasmine rice. I just think it's the purest flavor of rice. And if you think rice doesn't have a flavor, well, let me know in the comments because I have a bone to pick with you. Now, as far as brown rice goes, my recommendation for that is brown short grain rice, because I feel like if you get any other sort of brown rice, it gets really chewy and it doesn't cook right. Besides just having the right type of rice, you really have to make sure you have a good rice cooker. Okay, this is my household rice maker. It's an aroma rice maker, and it's basically like a steamer. You have a steaming bucket in here, and then of course just the bowl for cooking the rice, and it has lines in there telling you exactly where to put the water. And also in the front here, as you can see, there's different settings. So you have white rice, brown rice, and steam. So those are basically all the options I ever need. This is a great one to get. I highly recommend it. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them below. But don't worry, I'll put a link on the blog and I'll put a link down here. All right, the moment most of you have probably been waiting for, the hot sauces. So these are really the only two you're ever going to need. Also, this is mainly my dad's recommendation. He uses these more than I do. I kind of put them in recipes and sauces, but he's the one that'll just, you know, put sriracha right on top of his rice or whatever he's eating. So yes, sriracha, highly recommend. And then you're also going to want to get the chili garlic sauce. The brand I think is pronounced Hoi Fong Foods. I could be totally butchering that, and if I am, the internet has every right to make fun of me for it, but the main thing you're looking for is that signature rooster on the front and the green cap. This is the kind you're gonna wanna get. Usually you can find it at Cub or your local grocery store. You're definitely gonna be able to find it at an Asian grocery store as well. All right, so these are two of my absolute favorite Asian pantry items. So I have black bean sauce right here, and I also have hoisin sauce. My black bean sauce is KIKKOMAN, and my hoisin sauce is actually Lee Kum Kee today. I couldn't get the KIKKOMAN hoisin sauce. That one's actually my favorite. The Lee Kum Kee is my number 2. I would say as a rule of thumb, generally if you find an Asian pantry item, the one that I'm going to go with more likely than not is usually the KIKKOMAN brand. I just really trust that brand. It's been around for a while, and as you can see a lot of my other sauces, I really just love the KIKKOMAN brand. But the Lee Kum Kee brand is also a great brand, so these are definitely two that you're going to want to have. I use hoisin sauce a lot when I'm making char siu, which is basically Chinese barbecue pork, so that's great to have on hand. It also just really goes well with any sort of pork that you make, pork chops, or if you're putting pork on a rice bowl. Hoisin is definitely something you're going to want to have around. And black bean sauce is also great for marinades. It's great for stir fry. We like to put it on fish in our house, so definitely one you'll want to have on hand. All right, I'm a total hypocrite. I am now going to contradict myself. I know I just told you that I buy basically everything in the KIKKOMAN brand, but actually, when it comes to oyster sauce, I buy Lee Kum Kee. And really, the only reason is because it's the first one that I ever had, and I really just don't like any other brands. So here I have the original in the red cap, and I have the gluten-free in the green cap. I usually just buy gluten-free because why does your oyster sauce need to have gluten? That's really the only reason. I have this one just because in case we run out, you know, pandemic grocery store things, impending doom. Again, you're just going to find that a ton of Asian recipes require oyster sauce, so it's nice to have on hand. Sometimes it can be interchangeable with fish sauce, but I like to be in the better safe than sorry boat, so I generally just have both on hand. Also, just look at that cute little panda eating bamboo. I love pandas. Honestly, folks, it's all about the marketing for me. Okay, so moving right along, you're going to want to make sure that you have some sesame oil and rice vinegar. You really just have to have these for any recipe that you're going to make, especially if you want to make pot stickers. These are two you're definitely going to want to have. I also don't really have a brand preference for rice vinegar. There's really not a bad rice vinegar. I don't really know how you can screw it up. It's just vinegar. This is the one I'm using right now. It's been great. I think it's called Mitsukan. M-I-T-S-U-K-A-N. Again, if I'm saying it wrong, I deserve whatever you're going to say in the comments. However, with sesame oil, KADOYA is the way to go. Literally, I will back this brand of sesame oil to my grave. It is so good. And also, if you go to an Asian grocery store, you're going to be able to get a much bigger bottle like this rather than like the tiny, tiny little one. And trust me, the big bottle is worth it. It's also cheaper for what you get. So definitely get some KADOYA soy sauce. Sesame oil. Definitely get some KADOYA sesame oil. I'm losing it. Another staple for most people eating Asian food in America is sweet chili sauce. Now, this is the May Ploy brand. It's really, really great. The other benefit is there's no preservatives or added colors. Honestly, the main reason I have this is for dipping my egg rolls in it. There's a lot of other uses for it, but if you like egg rolls and you like some sauce with it, this is the one to get. All right, now we're moving into curry territory, and these are 3 items that I like to have on hand for a super quick, easy curry. So what I have here is full fat, unsweetened coconut milk, and then I also have red and green curry paste. And basically, it's super simple to have these on hand. They don't have to be refrigerated before you open them. Basically, all you're going to do is take a can of the coconut milk with about a tablespoon of one of your curry paste, some fish sauce, and you have a super easy curry. You can just add some protein in there and pour it over some rice. So these are the Thai Kitchen brand, and I pretty much always have them on hand. It's really great for a quick, easy meal. Now, as far as my non-sauce oriented Asian pantry items go, I like to have some white sesame seeds on hand. It's also good to have some black sesame seeds on hand. It just adds a little bit of flavor by shaking them on top of whatever Asian dish you've made. I also really love having Chinese 5-spice. Now, again, this is one that I use in my char siu, which is Chinese barbecue pork. I don't really have a specific brand to recommend, but Chinese 5-spice is usually going to have all of the same ingredients, whichever brand you use. And then this one's a little bit more mainstream, but I really love Trader Joe's Everything But the Bagel seasoning. Again, you don't necessarily have to buy it from Trader Joe's. This is just the one that I've been using, but a lot of different people make an everything seasoning. You can also just buy the separate ingredients and make your own at home. Also, another item I really like to have on hand are canned water chestnuts. They keep in your pantry for a really long time. I don't really have a specific brand that I recommend, but they're really great in pot stickers and also really great in fried rice. I really like having these Bontrang rice papers on hand. You use them to make spring rolls, and my family eats those a lot. Also, it's basically a dried rice paper, so it's going to keep in your pantry for a very long time. I also usually have some sort of stir-fry noodle on hand. This one is Thai Kitchen, but really any stir-fry noodle will work. It's just super quick, super easy. You can toss it in a pan with some vegetables, protein, soy sauce, sesame oil, and it's a really quick, easy dinner. And finally, I always have KIKKOMAN PANKO breadcrumbs on hand. Now, even though this is a Japanese style breadcrumb, you can really use it wherever you use normal breadcrumbs. I use this on top of my mac and cheese when I bake it. I also use it for chicken parmesan. So it's really interchangeable and it's just nice to have on hand. I almost forgot, but it's also really important to have gochujang paste. Gochujang paste is basically like a spicy, sweet pepper paste, and it's really great in Korean bibimbap. You can also do a slew of other things with it, but if you're somebody who likes, hot sauces like I mentioned earlier, this is a paste, but it's still really great to have on hand for that little extra kick. Also, I'm somewhat new to the gochujang train, so I don't really have a specific brand to recommend, but the one that I've been eating and liking is called Hai Chandel, so that's what's here, and I will also put a link to that below and on the blog. All right, you guys, I know that was a lot of information, a lot to unpack. Hopefully it wasn't too overwhelming, but as always, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comments. You can DM me on Instagram at HughEatsWithYou, or you can go to HughEatsWithYou.com and leave your questions in the comments. Hopefully you can make some great food with these Asian pantry items, and remember, happy eating!